Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video as always. As you can see, we are on the road at the moment. We are headed northwest again to a place called Shieldig, and we're going to check out an ancient Caledonian pinewood remnant there, which is actually the most westerly pinewood remnant in the UK. It's actually a Thursday today, and we basically got a bank holiday from Old Sausage Fingers coronation on Monday, which is probably the only good thing to come out of that absolute circus of nonsense. But I was basically able to shift the day from Monday to Thursday, and I've taken some leave for tomorrow as well. Because I'm meeting up with Luke and his family tomorrow, and yeah, we'll be staying at a cottage over sort of Applecross direction, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get the canoes out and that kind of thing. So I think that'll probably form the second half of this video as well. Weather-wise, it's quite pleasant at the moment. It's supposed to be dry today and tomorrow, I think. Maybe about 15 degrees, something like that. But yeah, if any of that interests you, please stick around, and I hope you enjoy the video. We just left the van down at the road. It's only a couple hundred metres away, and we're just walking across the first bit of open ground beneath the forest to sort of get into the main bit. It's horrible ground. It's just hummocky, thick grass and heather. A good type of ground to twist your ankle. So I'm only maybe 50 metres into the Pinewood, but two things I've noticed so far. One, there's kind of a worn track that I'm following. There's a lot of fresh red deer poo on it, and prints as well, so there's definitely some recent deer activity in here. But also, it's incredibly grassy. Like, the ground vegetation is dominated by a long way by grass. And normally in these pine woods, it's either heather or blaeberry, especially in these sort of ancient Caledonian pine remnants where there hasn't been that much disturbance over the years, you know, and the vegetation's had a long time to naturalise. It's a bit more common in more recent pine woods, you know, to have grass, because it just hasn't had a chance to develop that natural vegetation yet. But I'm kind of surprised to see it in something like this. So it'll be interesting as we walk through to see if that that changes at all. just kind of got up to this open bit, and there's like an open air behind me before the next sort of band of pine, and you can see they go right up the hill. And if trees are allowed to, they will grow right up the hill. It's just this odd Scottish thing that we're missing so many of our trees at elevation. And you know, part of the reason they would have survived up there is because it's just a rock face like this. You know, it's inaccessible. And actually on the other side, across the loch, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but at this time of year, as the birch comes through, the leaves are just really bright green, and when the sun hits them, they really light up. And you can see there's actually quite a lot of regen on the hill on the other side, which is quite encouraging. Pine as well, but obviously during the winter months, it's not, you can't see the broadleaf species because they've dropped their leaves. But this time of year, when everything's greening up again, you can really see it. And there's a lot more over that side than I actually appreciated. So we just stopped for a drink there, and there's a nice little pocket of pine just a little bit down the hill from me, which actually looks quite ideal for the hammock. So I'll add it to the list. Well, it's only 4 o'clock at the moment, so we'll keep wandering through, see if we can find, you know, a nicer spot. But yeah, we know we can just come back and use this spot here. It's got a nice bit of clear ground for sort of sitting and cooking as well. Not going to have a fire because the fire risk is, again, it's through the roof here at the moment. I'm not even going to risk it with the bush box. So I've just got the little alcohol stove for dinner. Don't need the heat either because it's it's really warm. So yeah, we'll carry on just now and see what we can find. Right folks, I know this is a little bit different having forest thoughts in the middle of the video, but it kind of seemed to work with the Darach video, so here we are. So I'll start off by talking a little bit about where we actually are, and I'm going to butcher the Gaelic on this one, but we are at the Culia Creek Loch Ancient Caledonian Pinewood Remnant. And we're right next to a little village called Shieldig in the northwest of Scotland. The village of Shieldig was actually founded in 1800 to train up men, basically, for the Napoleonic Wars. And I mean, today it's a small kind of fishing, crofting village. I think the population's maybe 50 people, you know, it's a really small place. For those of you who've been to Shieldig, you may remember there's an island just off the shore from the village, and it's covered in Scots pine, and that isn't actually included in the Caledonian Pinewood remnant. It's thought that was actually planted. And I'm sure I read somewhere that they planted them really densely because they were looking for long straight poles for drying out fishing nets or something like that. So anyway, yeah, it's not actually officially a part of the ancient Caledonian Pinewood remnant. And for the actual pine forest itself, this big lump of rock behind me, from the road on this side right up and over to the other side, is Ben Shieldig Estate, and the name of the hill is actually Ben Shieldig. That's where the name comes from. But in 2019, the estate was actually bought by Woodland Trust Scotland, So they own this whole site now, and they protect not only this ancient Caledonian pinewood remnant, but there's actually a sort of Atlantic rainforest birchwood on the other side, which you may have seen on some of the shots when I was actually driving in. And between the two forests, like I say, they're probably some of my favourite forests to actually look at, because they look very natural and rugged, and you can see the trees naturally growing up the hill like they would do everywhere given the chance. So I always enjoy coming to this spot and driving around this corner. And as I mentioned before, and talked a little bit about it in the Darach video, this is the most westerly ancient pinewood remnant in the UK, and probably in the world, if you want to think about it like that. You know, we are at the very western extreme. There's a pine species in North America which is very similar, you know, as are a lot of things, but it actually is a different species. I think it's called red pine. So, you know, it's very close, but it is a different species. And like I say, it really is at the very edge of its growing limits here. It's a very wet pinewood usually, although you're not really getting that feeling today. And it's characterized by that very distinct, almost like umbrella shaped canopy on the pines here. You know, it's a very squat but wide canopy in these pine trees. And if you start to look at a lot of these pine forests, you really start to notice the ones that have that kind of western sort of growth characteristic to it. And as I also mentioned in the Darach video, that genetically these pines are distinct from other pine forests further sort of east and south, and it's thought that there's basically surviving pine woods to the west of here, either sort of around Ireland maybe, or off the coast of Ireland, or you know, out in the sea. There was maybe a sort of land bank that no longer exists because the sea levels come up, and you know, the pines recolonized from the west after the last ice age, whereas a lot of the other pine woods kind of colonized from the sort of south and east, you know, moving up as the ice retreated. So they really are quite interesting and special, you know, and I mean, we should protect all our pine woods, you know, the remnants that we have left, but you know, some of these extreme pine woods just start to add other elements of interest and uniqueness. And hopefully, as you can see from the footage, it's a pretty stunning one. I genuinely wasn't expecting to look as nice as this when we got up here, but you know, having that pinewood on the steep rocky slope really does just looks fantastic. And these differences between kind of western and eastern pine are important, especially when it comes to maybe expanding these pine forests through planting. You know, these trees have specifically adapted to the conditions here, and a big part of that for the western pine is the high levels of rainfall and moisture, which you wouldn't necessarily get in the Cairngorm. So if you take some seed from the Cairngorm and you grow pine trees and you plant them out in the west, well, they're going to get a bit of a shock at, you know, the amount of moisture that's over here. And you know, vice versa, if you take a pine that's, you know, used to high rainfall and you go and stick it in the Cairngorm when it's quite dry, you know, they're going to struggle. So as much as we try and, you know, fence these pine forests and get natural regeneration, which is obviously the best and most natural way to do it, sometimes you don't have the seed source, or for whatever reason, you know, you're struggling to expand the forest and you need to plant. And it's important that you use as local provenance seed as you can. You know, so if you were going to plant pine in this area, well, collect seed from the pine in this area. You've got flexibility in terms of you can grow the trees on, the seedlings on somewhere else, but ultimately the seed came from the parent trees here who are adapted to the conditions, and the young trees will also be adapted to these conditions. I suppose the only last thing I wanted to mention was that this forest was actually part of a red squirrel translocation project. Now, if you're not aware, or you're maybe not from the UK, the red squirrel is our native red squirrel, but I don't even know how long ago it is now. The grey squirrel got introduced to the UK from North America, and in a large part of the UK now, the grey squirrel is the dominant species. It's kind of forced the reds out. It transmits a pox virus that the red squirrel really struggles with. So kind of fast forward to more recent times, and the Highlands has kind of become a stronghold for red squirrel. We've managed to keep the greys out of the Highlands. And essentially the red squirrel is basically missing from a lot of the forests in the northwest. The forests in the northwest, maybe not suitable habitat, they become very small and fragmented, and for whatever reason the red squirrel's not here, but it should be. And obviously it couldn't spread out from the east because there's too much open ground. Squirrels don't like to travel large distances over kind of open ground. So the idea is that they translocated red squirrels from the east over to the west, and that would provide sort of small populations safe from the greys, because of course the greys can't travel to the west either because of that disconnect in the forest. But also hopefully in the future, when we connect up the two sides again, there'll be sort of genetically distinct populations that can then meet up and breed and so on. So I think the first translocation was actually carried out by a man called Roy Dennis, who's quite a well-known conservation figure in the UK, and I think that was back in 2009. One of them was up near Ullapool and somewhere else, I can't remember. But then more recently, I think it was maybe 2016, Trees for Life were involved then, and they kind of ramped the project up, and they took more squirrels over from the east and put them into woodlands in the west, and Ben Shieldig was one of those forests. So there are red squirrels in these western pinewoods now, and apparently they're doing quite well. The population is viable. They were tracked and they've actually moved to other forests in the area, so they're doing just fine, and it's good to bring these things back. It's quite an easy win, to be honest. But that's it, I think, for Forest Thoughts this time. I didn't want to go into too much detail. I think I maybe drowned people in information with the Darach video a while back, so trying to keep it as brief as possible. But yeah, I'll stop there. And obviously it's not the end of the video. We're going to walk back now and hopefully pick a nice hammock spot and have some dinner. It's actually 6 o'clock, so getting a little bit hungry now. It shouldn't take us long to walk back. That's the hammock set up. It took 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. I don't know if you can see it actually with the sun and the glare, but yeah, actually I used a little bit of a stick just to raise the front of the tarp up again, just so I've got a bit of a view in the morning. So yeah, like I said earlier, I've got a steak. I'm just going to cook it up on, I brought both my X-Boil stoves. So I've got some boil in the bag rice, which I'll cook on one, and yeah, the steak on the other. I've got some red peppers and mushrooms just to fry up as well, just to add to it, so it should be quite simple. But that's also the great thing about the X-Boil stove, is that because it just rolls up and it's a tiny little stove, it takes nothing at all to just wrap a second one inside, if that makes sense. So I've just got the two stoves wrapped together, and then, you know, two small alcohol stoves inside the pot. Well, one thing I've just realised is I forgot my frying pan. Oh man, that stinks. I've got this titanium plate, but I don't know if it's really any good for cooking. I suppose I could try it, otherwise it's just going to be rice and boiled mushrooms. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Actually, not too bad. So we just ran to the top of the hill, see if we can catch the sunset. But you can probably see from the light behind me, I think it's going to be quite nice. Oh wow. Right folks, we just got back down to camp and it's so still now, and the midge are out in force, so we're just going to get into the hammock and get zipped in. Oh, I haven't missed this. I will call it a day there, and we will see you in the morning. So yeah, I just checked myself back at the van and I've got 4 tick bites so far. I'm just going to try and film taking this out for people who don't know. So this is what I was talking about in my last video, something like that. It's like a tick twister. And you literally just hook in like that and twist and it comes out really easy. And it'll probably be itchy for a couple of days, but that's out nice and clean. The head's not stuck in. That's what you're aiming for. Right, we are fed, watered, washed, tick checked. So it's time to go meet Luke.
Whoa. That's it, strike a pose. Vogue. Nice and running. Missing that, mate. Millions of views.
He's spend his whole life making sure he's on the film.
Where's the kitchen? Isn't this nice? And your bedroom is upstairs, above here. Isn't it? Nice one. Is that alright? Nice. Yeah, the panels are in the front, aren't they? Aye, cool.
Look. You're slidey. You can do it. You're fine.
And some too.
So we've just been catching up and chilling out, and it's an incredible day. It must be about 20 degrees. It's almost too hot, and we'll probably get a bit of lunch and then maybe do the canoe stuff after lunch, I think. But yeah, we're just going to wander down to the sea just now and just have a look around and see what's what for getting the canoes in and that kind of thing, and just there'll be lots of clips of messing around and doing random things. So yeah, if you want to stick around, please do.
So let's go down closer, yeah? There.
Let's get out too. Let's get out too. Let's get down.
Let's go.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
holding really tight.
Let's set it in there.
No, no, no. Leave it.
There. You hold the paddle for me. You hold that end. Okay?
Hi, Rowan. Are you having fun?
Your paddle full.
Let my paddle fall down.
You having fun?
You got your paddling full?
Got my paddle.
Wow. Do you touch the jellyfish?
No, no.
No.
Don't find it. Don't find it.
We'll see if we find any more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that?
That's a piece of seaweed.
It's a piece of seaweed.
That's all the seaweed.
All the seaweed? Almost a seaweed. Oh.
Not some that. Not some that a row.
Look at that birdie. That's an oyster catcher.
That uppercut there.
Are Mummy and Daddy going for a paddle?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Found the rock.
You found a rock? Wow!
Hi.
Hi. What's you doing to splash?
Oh, you're splashing, Mummy.
What's that? What's that? Mummy for walking.
Mummy threw rocks in. Let her, Mummy put down her boots. Mummy cut them up for you?
Yeah.
You gotta blow on them. They're hot. Do you want some bacon? No?
Morning folks, it's Saturday morning. Woke up quite early actually, and we had a really nice cooked breakfast. And Luke and Sarah and Rowan have headed down to the sea there to throw rocks in the water, which is Rowan's favourite thing to do. Yesterday was really good. The weather was perfect. It was really nice to get out into the canoe. Like I say, I've not really done much stuff in the canoe at all. Luke's done a little bit more than me, but we're both keen to kind of do more of it. and it'd be quite good to have some canoe trips in the future. We're maybe planning something later in the year, but we'll see how that goes.
Are you torturing Sam? You haven't had enough of you yet.
Good something.
Boom. Yeah. Boom.
Wow. Wow. Boo, 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 boo. Hi.
Hi.
Like you jumper.
You like my jumper?
Yeah.
What colour is it?
Green.
Green? So this is where you need to be like companies that sell and make canoes. I'm thinking about doing a trip and I'll be more than happy to promote your product.
Yeah, we're actually gonna get cleaned up now and we're heading out for dinner this evening over at Applecross, so it should be good.
Over here.
Nom nom nom. Well, we're back from the Applecross then. I'm just taking Darach for a wee run about the place. It was a good feed as always, but we're all pretty tired after the last couple of days. But yeah, I'll see you in the morning. Hi.
Let's go walking.
Should we go and get the canoe and take it back in?
Yeah.
Come on, Rowan.
Right, that's us heading off home. Weather was pretty miserable this morning, just heavy rain, and then the rain stopped and the mids were out in force, so we didn't bother messing about with the canoe, just had some breakfast, cleaned the place up, and we're just heading off now. So yeah, a bit of a different video, second half's probably quite random, but I hope you enjoyed it if you stuck around, and I'll hopefully see you on the next one.